Hi everyone, so this is the Movcam cage for the A7 series cameras, not the Mark IIs, but it will work with the A7S, the A7R and the A7. Here I've got the 55mm FE lens attached to the A7. This cage is beautifully designed. I love the gunmetal color on this. I think it sort of makes the camera look really nice and unique. And I love the features of this, but I think there are some small improvements that could be made here. It's got a really nice top handle that's nice and comfortable to hold, really nice and solid. Connects here via these two screws, and it is adjustable left and right. So this allows you to balance this so that the weight is right in the center. It's obviously got screws everywhere to connect whatever accessories you want via, just sort of friction arms or however you want to connect them. It's got some hot shoe connectors here and here and allows you to connect stuff to the camera's own hot shoe. But if you want to connect something large to the camera's own hot shoe, then you might want to remove this in case that's getting in the way. It's got a rod connector there, which is nice to see. That's removable. And so I would prefer if this went forwards instead of sideways, but it's not really a problem. You can easily get a piece that will connect a rod this way, but that does mean that you'll need a short rod there and then the additional connector and then the longer rod. And I actually think you could just remove this and connect it directly to here so that it goes forwards, but I haven't tried that. So this has a removable side here so that if you want to grip the camera directly on its grip, then you can do that. I think it would be great if there was a little cutout here, because at the moment it's sort of, I'd like to have this side connector. I don't want to remove the whole piece. And I would still like to have, a little bit of an easier time reaching the shutter, but you can still reach it. You can still hold it and still reach it, but just not the most comfortable position. You've got a nice little window there to see what mode you're, moving into, which is nice. And you've got nice access to all the camera's controls and buttons, no problems there. Now, I would have preferred a flat bottom to this cage because this little connector here, I don't think this is a standard size that will connect to anything other than the Movcam piece. And so what that means is that you have less surface area when you connect something like this. I would have much preferred if this was just a flat piece with this sort of connector being an optional add-on that maybe screws into here. Now, it's not a big problem. You can easily still connect whatever quick release you want to that, and it's still got enough surface area to hold on nice and tight. For this absolutely beautiful build quality, I think the price is really worth it. It's more than, cheap Chinese cages that you can find on eBay, but it's less money than most of the other really nice cages out there. So, I think it's a fair price. And you can get this as a kit with these two pieces as well, which increases the price a little bit. And I think, personally, I would go without these. So we've got two different pieces here, and I think it's a little bit too much, but for some people, this might work. And I think it would have been better if these pieces had some generic connector. For example, if they connected with an Arca Swiss connection on all sides, because that would then mean that you could use them with other pieces of equipment as well. And it would mean that you could connect this directly to this, which currently there's no way to do. You'd need to add your own screws and stuff. So not really the ideal thing to connect to each other. And, there might be a little bit of wiggle if you do that. So this piece would then screw into the lens adapter and strengthen the system, give you a lot of strength here. So a lot of the weight is on this rather than being on the camera's own mount. And so I think that's a great feature for some people using really big lenses, but I think for most people, it's probably not needed. Now the connection here is nice and strong and connects, gives you a really nice connection to that. And then this piece connects there to the rod holder. And then it locks there. Now I'd like for this to have an additional sort of safety release or something, because at the moment, if you touch this, it's not going to come undone on its own. But if you give it a bit of pressure, then you can release this. So I think that's a little bit too easy to release. I prefer some sort of safety system. I don't actually have the ones made by Movcam. I assume they're fine. These are just the rods I added from something else. There is a little bit of wiggle between the camera and the cage. And with the A7S, there's less wiggle. This is the A7. There's a little bit more wiggle. I'm not sure why, but there is a little bit of wiggle. One of the other things to consider is that this cage is not very quickly removable from the camera. You do need to undo some screws with the included little Allen key, but it's not a big issue, but it just means it takes a few minutes to actually put the cage on. Because you have access to all the things here, I don't think if you like this cage, you like using it, I don't think that's a big issue. You basically just put this cage on your camera and mostly just leave it on your camera. For me, a cage like this doesn't work because it adds some extra size and bulk to the camera. Not a lot, but it does add some. And just because for me, it's a little bit unneeded. I'm perfectly fine just using the camera on its own. What I'd recommend is go for the cage without these extra pieces. You save some money, and you can also then get some rod connectors from a different company, which connect directly to here via the screw. Now let's take a look at the port protector. I've connected a cable to there already, which is lockable with these little screws. It's not the strongest port protector in the world, but it does protect the ports a little bit. and it only comes with one of these. I'm not sure if you can get extra ones. You've basically just got the choice to protect 2 ports at a time. Not a big issue, especially because the audio port on the camera is much stronger than the HDMI port, so most people are mainly going to want to protect the HDMI port. And I've added a little screw from something else to this, just, it's a little bit nicer than the screw that came with this, just because, I can turn it with my fingers without needing to find the tool. And I think it would be great if you had these screws at the other places as well. So if you wanted to, you could add some thumb screws to the sides here. Now this works well with my cable, but I'm not sure if this would work with every HDMI cable, but I think it should be easy enough to find an adapter that works with this or a cable that works with this. Now adding an adapter like this is good for 2 reasons. First of all, you have a very quick disconnection point, and 2, it's a safety release. So if something gets pulled, it would hopefully get disconnected from here rather than put any pressure on here. And so if you wanted to keep this nice and neat, you could take a camera screw and hold this in place like that. So now you have your port up there or wherever you want to put it. So that's my review of the Movcam cage, and really my only complaint about this is the tiny bit of wiggle room between the camera and the cage, which I think would be easily fixable. So basically, if you want a cage, I think this cage is great. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Visit my channel for lots more awesome filmmaking and photography videos, like lighting techniques, DIY projects, behind the scenes tutorials, cameras, lenses, adapters, shoulder rigs, stabilizers, flashes, LEDs, microphones, bags, straps, studio backgrounds, tripods, float heads, sliders, multi-tools, and lots more cool stuff!